Hello and thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show.
This is a devastating security breach that was leaked out of the Pentagon. The most highly classified documents of the war.
We're speaking to Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg at the premiere of the film The Post. And nobody puts Dirty Dancing fans in the corner. The French stage version is back in theatres. And we're starting with the Paris red carpet premiere of Steven Spielberg's The Post, or Pentagon Papers as it's called in France. Meryl Streep plays the first female publisher of a major American newspaper, Katharine Graham. Tom Hanks, its legendary editor, Ben Bradley. The movie shows the Washington Post's famous and difficult decision to publish top-secret government information about the Vietnam War in 1971. There's topical, there's timely, and then there's this film, which feels less like a historical thriller than it does a caricature of the year 2017. What's your favourite film from Tom Hanks?
La Ligne Verte.
What about Meryl Streep?
August, Osage County.
Mamma Mia.
Solo Monde.
The Hours.
Forrest Gump.
Saving Private Ryan.
Job Savion Frada. Le Pont des Espions.
Angers Démon.
Catch Me If You Can.
Philadelphia.
Toy Story.
Cry in the Dark. So, can I ask you a hypothetical question?
Oh, dear, I don't like hypothetical questions.
Well, I don't think you're gonna like the real one either.
Combined, they've made 100 films, won 10 Emmys, 5 Oscars, and 12 Golden Globes. They're in Paris for the premiere of their first ever film together, The Post, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet. The Times has 7,000 pages detailing how the White House has been lying about the Vietnam War for 30 years. The way they lied, those days have to be over. Hello, France 24.
Hello.
What time is it? It's 24 o'clock.
So gender equality, a government trying to keep the truth secret, and an attack on the freedom of the press.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any idea how relevant this film was going to be when you were making it?
No, when the film was first written and sold to Amy Pascal, written by Liz Hanna, the first script, it was 6 days before the election, and we fully expected that Hillary Clinton would be the first female president. The world shifted in another direction, and it became sort of more important to tell this story for so many reasons.
There was a day in current events, I think Michael Flynn was either being fired or investigated. The White House was saying none of it's true. The press was trying to get the real story. And there we were in our 1971 set, in our 1971 clothes, watching it unfold on our 1971 television. And we kind of wondered, what year is it exactly, 71 or 17? To watch history, circle back around and cover the same territory, on one hand is disheartening, but on the other hand raises the stakes of why we were all gathered in the first place.
To make this decision, to risk her fortune and the company that's been her entire life, well, I think that's brave.
If the government wins, the Washington Post will cease to exist.
If we don't hold them accountable, who will?
We can't hold them accountable if we don't have a newspaper.
Nixon will muster the full power of the presidency, and if there's a way to destroy you, by God, he'll find it.
It was a lot harder to be a woman in 1971, especially a powerful woman. But the interesting thing about Katharine Graham herself is Katharine Graham became Katharine Graham because of her decision vis-a-vis the Pentagon Papers. So this is also a story about a woman in a world of men, in a sea of men, about how she found her own voice. That's what this film's about.
Okay, people are concerned about having a woman in charge of the paper, that she doesn't have the resolve to make the tough choices.
Thank you, Arthur, for your frankness.
Gender equality is something very relevant, especially in Hollywood at the moment. How do you see the future?
I think that something has cracked wide open. And it's an opportunity. It's a hard one, and it's one on the backs of women who suffered and continue to. And it's not just in Hollywood.
Yes.
You're just hearing about it because it's there, but it's women farm workers, it's women caregivers, it's all the lowest paid professions, frankly, and even in our own. Pay equity is a question. But I think it's changing, and I don't think we'll ever go back to the old bad ways.
I'm asking your advice, Bob, not your permission.
You can't do this. The legacy of the company is at stake.
What will happen if we don't publish? We will lose. The country will lose.
What are you going to do, Mrs. Graham?
And the Post is out in France next week. Next, a documentary about Robin Williams, a Lizzie Borden film with Kristen Stewart, and the long-awaited follow-up to Winter's Bone are among more than 100 movies set to premiere at the Sundance Film Festival, getting underway this week. Actor Idris Elba makes his feature directorial debut with Yardi, a thriller about a boy who sees his brother's murder in 1970s Jamaica. Ethan Hawke, Paul Dano and Rupert Everett are among other actors who've directed films in the lineup. One of the highlights is Gus Van Sant's Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Rooney Mara.
This doesn't just go away. You have to fight with it or you'll die.
Something really profound just happened to me, man.
I don't expect you to understand after you've caused so much pain. You're just a human.
There are many films featuring female leads, including 8th Grade, The Kindergarten Teacher, starring Maggie Gyllenhaal, and The Tale, starring Laura Dern. More than a third of the films premiering are directed by women. Deborah Granick, whose last feature, Winter's Bone, catapulted Jennifer Lawrence to stardom, is back with her first feature in 7 years, Leave No Trace, starring Ben Foster. And the documentary Seeing Allred is sure to create a buzz for its subject, Gloria Allred, the women's rights attorney who's represented victims alleging sexual misconduct against Bill Cosby and Donald Trump. First, there was the classic cult film from 1987 with Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. Then, the 2004 prequel, Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights. Last year, there was a poorly received remake. There were also a stage version in the US, and soon after, a French version, which is now back in French theatres. Dirty Dancing, the musical, is in Paris this month and then on tour throughout the country. Francois Weibo has more.
An irresistible bad boy and a debutante from a well-to-do family. Johnny and Baby met in the summer of '63 to the sound of mambo and rock and roll. A little romance, a lot of lust, and one of the most famous lines in movie history.
On laisse pas bébé dans un coin.
Dirty Dancing came out over 30 years ago. After grossing more than $200 million worldwide, the classic dance flick is finally coming to French stages.
What we need to do is understand the heart of the story we're telling, understand the characters, and of course to try to recreate that same energy from the film, but without copying it beat for beat.
The Dirty Dancing phenomenon boils down to one song that became an international hit. A song, a dance, and a climactic lift. The move Baby had so much trouble mastering, and that countless newlyweds have tried to recreate over the years.
Ça demande beaucoup de conditions physiques.
We need to both be in peak physical condition. So that means lots of strength training for Gaël and for me too. And then we need to time our moves just right.
We love the movie so much that it was hard to top, but we're delighted.
It brings me back 30 years. It was just great.
Johnny and Baby are amazing together. We really feel the chemistry between them.
The musical's off to a promising start after debuting with a sold-out show in Paris. Thousands of fans who had the time of their life.
And Dirty Dancing is on tour around France until April. Now we're going to leave you with the trailer for the second season of one of the best series of the moment, The Handmaid's Tale. Live for Off-Red, and the rest of The Handmaids looks set to become a lot harder in the adaptation of Margaret Atwood's classic novel about an oppressive authoritarian state, which will return later this year. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter and Facebook. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. It's time we stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound?